Now, as you might have heard, there are worrying indications that the federal government in Nigeria might declare a state of emergency in the southeast state of Anambra following a rise in killings and insecurity in the state. Governorship elections are due in Anambra on November the 6th, and the government said it wanted to preserve the sanctity of the ballot. Nigeria's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Salami, said the possibility of a state of emergency was under consideration as a means of ensuring the proper conduct of elections. He said Nigeria's national security was under attack and the sanctity of the country's constitutionally guaranteed democracy was under threat.
As a government, we have a responsibility to provide security to lives and properties. So within the context of these constitutional obligations of the government and the desire to establish democratic norms and order, there is no possibility that is outruled. The government will certainly do the needful in terms of ensuring that our elections are held in Anambra, in terms of ensuring necessary security is provided, and in terms of ensuring protection is accorded to lives and properties. So what I'm saying in essence, no possibility is outruled by government in terms of ensuring the sanctity of our democratic order.
And that's, of course, Abubakar Malami as opposed to Abubakar Salami. Well, for reaction to this, I'm joined now by the spokesman of Nigeria's People's Democratic Party, the main opposition party, Kola Ologbondiyan. Mr. Ologbondiyan, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Do you think things have fallen apart in Anambra State to the extent that a state of emergency is needed there? Do you agree with those who say there's been a dramatic breakdown of law and order in Anambra State?
Thank you very much, Charles, for dragging me out of the very important 94th NEC meeting of our party, which is ongoing as we speak. However, talking about the Anambra situation, the People's Democratic Party is very concerned about the rising stake of insecurity in Anambra State. However, our party holds that the federal government has the strength and the might to restore peace before the election, during the election, and even after the election. That from what we are gathering in the public space, it appears as if the spate of insecurity, as heightened as it is in Anambra today, is being contrived. And we believe that just as the federal government recently ensured security in a state like Kaduna, where they have an off-season election, which held an APC won, we believe that the federal government has a security responsibility to also take care of the situation in Anambra State in a manner that elections will hold and there will be no conflict, killings, or insecurity of any sort.
But, I mean, let's be clear, Mr. Ologbondiyan, that a state of emergency is not unprecedented, is it? I mean, it's happened in Borno State, ostensibly to allow elections to take place. It's happened previously in other places, in Plateau, in the old Western Nigeria, and so on, hasn't it?
In the 2015 election that brought President Muhammadu Buhari into office, Borno State was the center piece of insecurity in our national narrative. Yet, election held in Borno State, President General Muhammadu Buhari, as he was then known, was declared as the winner of election in that state. And we have had situations in which there will be insecurity. Without a recourse to declaring a state of emergency, the insecurity situation were brought down and election held. The position of the PDP is very clear. We are concerned as a political party about the spate of insecurity in Anambra State. But our position is that the federal government should not deploy a might towards emergency rule in a manner that will make it appear as if they are trying to muzzle the citizenry of the state so that they can declare the candidate of the All Progressives Congress the winner of the election. That is the objection of the People's Democratic Party. And that's why we are emphatic in our position that you do not need to declare a state of emergency to curb the spate of insecurity in Anambra State in a manner that elections can hold. We have had elections. There were killings on daily basis in Kaduna. There were kidnapping on daily basis in Kaduna. But they just had their local government election without a declaration of state of emergency. They have had off-season elections concerning House of Assembly, concerning House of Rep, without a declaration of a state of emergency. And we believe that the federal government, within the artillery available to it, was able to ensure a peaceful conduct of elections in this state, in that particular state. So all we are asking for is that the insecurity situation in Anambra State can be managed in a manner that you do not need to invoke a state of emergency in the state before elections are held on November 6th.
And I mean, what are the other options that you would like to see implemented beyond imposing a state of emergency? I mean, you've touched on a number of things peripherally, but would you, for instance, like to see the elections postponed, for example?
Oh, Charles, there are reports in the public space that the Inspector General of Police did redeploy the Commissioner of Police and made a replacement. And there were assurances from the police that the new headsman of the police in Anambra will engender an atmosphere that will enable a peaceful election. And we believe in the People's Democratic Party. That is part of the process. What we object to as a party is the imposition of a state of emergency that will muzzle the people of Anambra State and that will enable the All Progressives Congress to come through the back door to make a declaration that it had won election. We believe that with the right security architecture in Anambra State, they will hold their election on November 6th in a peaceful atmosphere that will enable the people to express their rights as citizens of Nigeria who can freely participate in the election and vote for a candidate of their choice. That is all we ask of the federal government and the All Progressives Congress.
Now, I mean, some have suggested that it is the politicians who are killing people and attacking themselves in Anambra State. I mean, what does that say? I mean, including the governor has said that, including the group IPOB, who are accused of being behind a lot of the disorder in Anambra State. I mean, what does that say about the state of politics in this country, that allegedly politicians should resort to killing people, assuming the allegation is true?
Well, I believe that the federal government, who is in charge of the security architecture of our nation, should come out and make such a declaration if they were true. The intelligence available to my party has not demonstrated that. And if it had demonstrated that on the ground in Anambra State, we are yet to receive such information at the National Secretariat of the party. However, it is our belief that the federal government that sits atop the entire nation, who is in control and in charge of the security architecture of our country, will be able to go after such characters if they exist in anywhere. Because our party will never support any Nigerian to take laws into his hands. So for us in the People's Democratic Party, we hold that because the federal government owns the enormous power and authority over intelligence gathering in our country, it has a responsibility to direct its energy towards arresting those who are responsible for the killings. But our position is this: you do not hide under the facade of the spate of insecurity in Anambra State and impose a state of emergency in a manner that will give advantage to the party that is ruling at the federal government.
But, I mean, let's be clear that a state of emergency has not yet been imposed. Do you think the people of Anambra State should heed this warning and hearken to this threat by mobilizing their communities not to allow themselves to destroy their election and to help root out those who are undermining security in the state?
The People's Democratic Party, in our statement yesterday, did advise the people of Anambra State to remain calm and be at alert in a manner that they will ensure that they have a free, fair, peaceful election on November 6th. We have called on the people of Anambra, the Indian Anambra, to ensure that they are able to conduct their election. They should work towards a process that will engender peace in the state.
Okay, we've got less than a minute or so before we have to go. We've got 30 seconds. What do you think the impact of a state of emergency is likely to be on voters? Do you think it'll put fear in people and make them less likely to go out and vote?
The situation will create voters' apathy. It will scare the people of Anambra State from coming out to express their desires about who governs them.
Okay, Kola Ologbondiyan, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're out of time. And I know you're in a meeting and you want to get back to your meeting. So thank you very much indeed. Kola Ologbondiyan is the spokesman for the opposition People's Democratic Party.